The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, Lord. There was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servers, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for the Jewish ceremonial washing, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told them, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it. And when the head waiter tasted the water that had become wine, without knowing where it had come from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, and then when people have drunk freely, an inferior one. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
And his disciples started to believe in him. I think Jesus' miracle at the wedding at Cana tells us many important things. For example, remember at the beginning, there were 6 ceremonial water jugs, each holding 20, 25, 30 gallons. So that says Jesus produced about 150 gallons of wine at this wedding. Sort of tells me that was a Catholic wedding. You know, this story it's a very human story. I think it's something we can all very easily relate to. You know, as the host of a couple wedding receptions myself, you never really relax until the party's over and the guests are gone. And the idea of running out of something is just a nightmare we don't even want to dream about. But I can say, been there, done that. I remember at our daughter's wedding reception, everything was going fine. I was moving from table to table, greeting family and friends. Everybody was, enjoying themselves. Most people enjoying their meal. When all of a sudden the wedding planner came up and said, "The caterer's running out of food. And there's still people in line." Well, panic sets in. How could this happen? What do we do? Jump in the car and get the order from McDonald's? Not going to happen. Were we embarrassed? Yes. We survived. And probably very few people either knew or cared. Wouldn't it have been nice, though, to have Jesus and the Blessed Mother there to sort of act on our behalf? I can tell you, we were probably praying that at the time, but our friends, we find, our family are very forgiving. When we take a moment to look at Jesus' first public miracle, or sign as John calls it, some people might think, maybe the Lord should have chosen a more dramatic occasion for his first miracle. Maybe it should have been in Jerusalem, the center of the world at that time, or the Jewish world, instead of Cana. Maybe the family should have been more important, like the governor's family or the high priest. Fact was, Jesus chose to focus on a young family just getting started. Sort of tells me Jesus puts the family as a priority in his earthly mission. Jesus shows us from the beginning that he's here for the people that need him most. He comes to minister to the poor, the needy, the sick. He came for people like you and like me who need His comfort and His strength. Now, Jesus was an invited guest at the wedding at Cana. I think it lets us know we need to invite Jesus into our lives. Jesus preached a message of life, a message of growing together as a spiritual family. You know, as a family, we tend to rely on each other. We work together to share our lives and our love. And when we need help, where do we turn? I can assure you, we do have help. In this story, we get the support for that Catholic tradition of reaching God by going through His Blessed Mother. We need to bring our requests to Jesus just through Mary. In the gospel message, Jesus may have thought that His hour had not yet come, but His mother had a different idea. Mary's request moved Him to act, maybe before His time, but to act on the behalf of some very ordinary people. People just like you and I. Now that Mary's in heaven, I think she's even in a better position to encourage her son to look favorably on our requests. But Mary serves as our example and our guide. Mary sees the potential problem and she acts, requesting that her son take care of the situation. She didn't wait till someone came to her or until the problem got out of hand. She didn't look for recognition. She just acted. Mary also gives us some of the best advice that you can find anywhere. In her words to the servant, she speaks to them. And these are the last words that are attributed to Mary in the Scripture. Do whatever He tells you. Isn't that just like a mother? Our job is to recognize just what Jesus wants us to do. We know He wants us to love God and love our neighbor. He tells us we're to feed the hungry and clothe the naked, comfort the sick. The Scripture's full of what Jesus tells us, our guide for life. And when we follow that advice, we can see results that may be beyond our greatest expectations. And Jesus does respond. God's love for us, manifested in His grace and His mercy, fill our lives. I think the example of the 6 water jugs converted into the best of wine is a symbol of the generosity that God offers to us and that's available to us in our need. So we shouldn't be surprised. Later in John's Gospel, Jesus tells us, I came so that they might have life and have it more abundantly. So how do we get that abundant life? To receive God's mercy, we're called to pray. To pray for those in darkness. To pray for our children, our spouses, our parents, our colleagues, our leaders. To pray for all in the world. And that prayer is a call for action. So this week I'm going to ask you, I'm going to call you to action. To pray for those of our parish family, especially for our youth group that's traveling this week to Washington, D.C. to participate in the March for Life. This annual gathering brings together thousands and thousands of Christians to protest the Roe versus Wade decision. But I think more importantly for our youth group, our youth and the adults going with them, this trip is a march of life. For them, they get to experience the trials. They get to experience others of their own faith, their own beliefs in a great gathering. But they need our prayers. As always, our children need our prayers as they travel through life. That they get the guidance and make the decisions that are in line with our own beliefs. As parents, we can only do so much. And then we let them go. Of course, sometimes they seem to keep coming back and back and back, but that's another story for another homily. But I invite you to pray, and I hope that you invite Mary into your home. Invite her into your marriage. Invite her into your families. Invite her into your life. Because if you invite Mary into your life, she will intercede on your behalf. Not only for what you ask of her, but maybe what you're not even aware of. And I ask you, what son can ignore his mother?